stream is working.
It is.
Okay, if you share anything, I don't see it.
Sharing the screen with you, but stream is working. Not that I have anything to share anyway.
And I was going through the module lists in Python that would need added PyInternal ABI slot. But as I started to dig through it, more and more questions emerged. And as you said, so there are 3 cases here. It's not visible immediately. You said you wanted to have to do it differently than what you instructed to in the issue upstream. So
Right.
that's one thing. But with those modules, underscore ABC is one without issues. So it uses PyBuild core and it uses the new multi-phase initialization thing. So I was pretty certain that PyInternal ABI slot belongs there. With local module, the thing is different. Like it doesn't use the PyBuild core thing, and I don't know, I don't remember, I need to check.
Yeah, so
like I was
found the reason
what
I wanted
conditions?
to do it differently. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the PyInternal ABI slot, where is that defined? Mod support.h. Okay. And I guess we also need mod support, like the normal one. So did you look at these definitions in mod support?
I did not.
Okay, so let's unpack those for a start.
Mm-hmm.
So this defines the slot, the structure you're supposed to put in the slot, right? So that's this PyABI info. It has the Python major and minor version. That's for the ABI you're using. No, ABI info major version and minor version. So that's the version of this structure, so it can be extended in the future. Then there are some flags. Then there's the version of the Python you're using to build, and the ABI version. Right? For flags, you can have stable ABI, GIL, or free-threaded, and the internal ABI. You can combine GIL and free-threaded, so this isn't really possible yet, but if it becomes possible, I'll document this. If it doesn't become possible, I'll remove the definition. Right, then there's a function PyABI check where you give it this structure and a name for error messages, and it does a check. Then there are the defaults, right? So this defines enough stuff to define the contents of the ABI struct as you're supposed to use it. Right, so this is version 1.0 of the struct itself. Default flags combines whether you're using the stable ABI, whether you're free-threaded or not, and whether you're using internal ABI. Right. Then there's the version of Python used to build, and default API version is either limited API or the Python version you're using to build.
Mm-hmm.
The special case for 3, which expands to 3.2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another macro that defines a variable of your choosing with these contents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem with this? The problem is you're supposed to use it like this. You need to define a variable and then you add a slot and give the variable name.
Mm-hmm.
Which is 2 lines of code. That could be easier if we could just use a macro to put here, which we cannot in the public API because we need to stick to an old version of C that doesn't have a thing called what is it called? Well, inline initialization or something like that. So basically you can give a literal of a struct, right? So you tell the C compiler this is a struct, this is struct PyABI info, and here are the contents.
Mm-hmm.
And you take the address of that, and that's basically a constant literal of the struct. And this was added in C, I don't know, either 99 or 11 or some recent enough version of C that we can't really put this in the public API, but we can use it for the internal API. So I did this. I suppose I said, well, internally we can use it, so why not save a line of code? So let's do that. And the mistake I did was hard-coded for the internal API. So if instead of this you take this PyABI info default, which has the same format we already need, and if you're using the internal ABI, it does the same thing. It should be possible to just put this here. And now it's no longer PyInternal ABI slot, but PyABI slot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that should solve the problem, because this definition now depends on the ABI that's actually used. So if I go to, which ones did you try? I tried the datetime module. So, giant comment. Whoa. Where are the slots here? So if I put in PyABI slot, and you tried which ones?
Underscore ABC.
Underscore ABC.
That was one where I was pretty sure it's within the definition of a C.
Right. Yeah, this is my build core module. Next one was locale.
Local, yeah, the underscore local module, yes. That one
doesn't have a
includes
definition.
some PyCore, but it doesn't use PyBuild core. But it has slots.
So I guess this, yeah, if you go to pycore fileutils.h, it begins with if PyBuild core is not defined, error out. So this needs PyBuild core defined externally by the build system. Let's add this here. And the next one is Erno module.
Erno module is a different case. It defines PyLimited API.
Nice. So put in the ABI slot as well, the new definition, and hopefully that'll work. It won't, because we put this in the in the core. Well, since it's underscored, I think we can just take it from the internal header, mod support H, and put it in here. Oh, and I guess the problem with Erno module is that it uses PyLimited API 3.14?
13.
13, yeah.
Yeah.
So this won't work then. Let's remove it. So we can either remove it or put an F here. Update the definition.
Can you just bump the version like that?
Yes.
Okay, it's backwards compatible always.
Yeah. On the other hand, you don't really need to do that, since if we know it's the 3.13 stable ABI, we don't really need to check it at runtime, because you're not getting the problem with this module. It's compatible with any future Python version.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's probably better to just not put it there.
Mm-hmm.
Only do it in the modules that that need the internal API. I would still define the PyABIs, or I would still change the definition of the of the slot. Make it use the PyABI info default, but I guess it's not. Guess it's not as important. I guess it just removes some duplication.
I'm not clear like on the next steps right now. So should we do this change or should it stay as it is?
Does the change make sense?
I think it makes sense.
So it's removing duplication and renaming it to take out the internal.
Does the like rename like it stays?
Yeah, it stays defined, right? Maybe we can remove the ifdef as well. And I guess we can remove the comment as well. And then you can use it everywhere except for the stable ABI.
The scopes are unclear to me. Like, what's the difference between like the rename? Like, it is still an underscored macro, and
Right.
it's still somehow private or internal.
Yes. Okay, so the scopes are you put it in a header file depending on when it should be available. Right? So if it's right under include mod support.h, so this is available everywhere, even in the limited API. And there are still these ifdefs for particular versions of the limited API. And because of this slot, PyMod API, that's only available in 3.15. So if we were to move this, it does need to go in this new in 3.15 block. This should be correct, hopefully. So if you put something in the CPython directory, well, the CPython mod support is only defined if PyLimited API is not defined. So this is just by convention. You can also do this ifdef in here, but anything that's in this directory is not available in the limited API. And then there are these internal PyCore ones, and those need to be included manually in anything that needs them. So those need PyBuild core. There's an error if you're not building the core, and stuff that needs them will include individual ones that it needs.
So in case of locale module, it requires this the PyCore file utils. It includes the file, but it doesn't define PyBuild core.
Right.
Something else defines it? So
yes, something else defines it.
Because otherwise it would error, and it doesn't, apparently.
Yes. So the build system defines PyBuild core. guess it also defines it for Erno module. Let's see, there's PyLimited API, and we do something with PyBuild core and one of these headers. Oh, there's PyBuild core built-in and PyBuild core module. I wonder if you can just define PyBuild core and PyLimited API both. That would be weird. Oh, if PyLimited API is defined, we undefined all of these. Okay, so here's the answer. I guess only this file and the exports.h is affected, and this deprecates stuff externally. I guess this should go after those undefs, but really cares. And there was also the exports.h, which is a bunch of magic that uses PyBuild core as well, I guess.
So hearing you saying bunch of magic on the things that's utterly magical in its wholesomeness.
Do you want to go down this rabbit hole?
Not sure. Do I want to go down this rabbit hole?
Well, it's interesting.
Well, then, yeah, why not?
But maybe let's first finish up if you have any questions about the ABI slot.
Okay. Yeah, what I found were 4 cases like of C modules. One using PyCore build, the PyBuild core. Another one using limited API and not PyBuild core, because now that it cannot coexist. And then there was a module like locale where we can use this slot because they include something that will set the macro as we need it.
Which macro?
Here, like PyBuild core, or like, yeah.
Oh, PyBuild core, right.
Yeah, we need that one to use this ABI slot.
Right.
Or not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh shit. I'm sorry. Now we can just use it anywhere in the internal modules?
Yes.
Except for where the PyLimited API is defined, because
right.
The problem does not appear there.
Problem does not appear there, and also the slot number is, or the slot ID is not defined, so it wouldn't be usable anyway.
Huh. And there is the 4th case, which is not present here. Modules like readline.c, which do not use this modern multi-phase initialization. They don't have slots as far as I
You don't have
remember.
slots. Ah, right. It doesn't have any slots. But it could. I think slots is this null here. Let's look up the definition for PyModule def. So base, name, doc, size, methods, slots. Okay. When using legacy single file initialization, slots must be null. So no, you cannot have slots. What you can do is define this variable manually and then call PyABI info check.
Right. This is the case of like free modules, the ones we also encountered in the downstream patch, TK inter, and one more. There will be 3 or 4 of those. 3, I think.
Right. So and those just at the beginning of the PyInit function check the ABI.
Then there are test modules, which I guess don't require any changes.
Well, they shouldn't, but I don't think there's too many of them.
So there are modules starting with XX, and there are modules starting with test something.
Okay, so the XX ones should be treated as examples of best practices in some way. They aren't really best practice, but so this has slots, so it should use the what's it called? The PyABI info var and the slot, like in the documentation. Same for XX limited. And ideally add a comment here why it's done that way. The XX limited for the old version, don't do that. Wait, what does XX limited do? So this is 3.13 as well, so don't change these. I think I have a pull request up for updating them, but it's blocked on some technicality. Okay, so XX subtype. This looks like a really old example. Now, it doesn't really matter for the XX ones. I would go for XX module only at this point.
Okay.
And then there are the test CAPI module, and that uses exec and slots, so you can use the slot here as normal. There's test CPy module, just limited API, I guess. internal C API. So this would have the core module. Limited API is probably using the latest limited API. What does this part say? Ah, this uses 3.5 itself, but I guess the individual C files can use different constants here, and the overall module then uses limited API 3.5. I would leave this one alone. It's a bit complicated, and if you're testing things, you probably don't need the enterprise check anyway. What's the next one? Internal C API that could use the check. Let's test single phase. Leave that one alone. Test clinic. What does that do? Yeah, I can leave that one alone as well. There's a single phase in it. Well, interesting. So that should be it.
Okay. I'll work my way through it.
Thank you. Right, anything else you want to talk about?
No, we can either go to this rabbit hole we just discovered.
Yeah. Which one was that?
Or we can take a look at Piglet, but that's not related to this one.
Okay, exports.h. So, the C standard is weird in that it doesn't do anything about linking. Right, so in C you compile the individual C files with their headers, then you combine them together, you link them together and you have the resulting program, but it doesn't do anything about dynamic linking, libraries that you can just load into a program, or doesn't really care much about the boundaries between individual libraries. So if you want to say, I'm defining a function, but I only want it visible inside my program, you cannot do that in standard C. Or if you want to say, this function is public and I want anything that links to this library to see it, it's the same thing. Or if you say this function needs to be defined in some library that will be linked to me. So things like that. You need to deal with that with compiler extensions. And there are really two ways of doing things, the Windows way and the GCC way, basically. Right, so Windows has defaults that are a bit different than on Linux. And CLang and basically every other compiler you use on Linux uses what GCC does because, well, what else can you do? There are some exceptions that do things differently, but, well, they're not in this file, so, except for Sigwin, they're not in this file, so we don't really care about them. And presumably if you're on some old Unix, then you patch this file or define it some other way. So how does that work? On Windows, if you enable, if you build Python as a shared library, which I don't think is a supported configuration, but we can do it, then imported symbols are marked with this Microsoft compiler extension DLL import. Exported symbols are with DLL export. Local symbols aren't marked in any way. And then there is this init exported symbol, which is, if you're building core, then it's exported. If you're building core, then it's depends on whether the shared library is enabled. Well, don't know the details. I had this in my head once when I was editing this file, but I forgot. Then for compilers that have this visibility attribute, so this is the GCC and CLang spelling, then we do much of the same thing with visibility default and visibility hidden. So default means it's visible and hidden means it's not. I think the default is different on Windows, so in Windows it'll default to being hidden. And then, if built as shared, that means you're building libpython as a separate SO, or on Sigwin, which is an unsupported platform. It's like a Unix emulation layer on Windows. So basically a third-party WSL. Except it I don't know, I don't know the details. Very old thing. Some people still use it. Yeah, so there are some exceptions we probably don't need to get into. And this is then how you define PyAPI func, which you've probably seen. Define the CAPI function, define a CAPI piece of data, and then pymod_init func, which decorates the pyinit function. So that needs to be visible. In C++, it needs to use the C ABI, not C++ name mangling or something, and needs to be exported, and the same thing for the new thing. So, yeah, technically this is all compiler extensions, and if you write a new C compiler, you're out of luck, because you either have to pretend you're GCC or patch Python.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to make that better for new compilers, but that's more of a rabbit hole, which we can go into, or we can look at Piglet.
Okay, thank you for getting into exploits. It's so abstract. Like every layer that uncovers in it is just.
Yeah.
No,
this is actually a rabbit hole we might go into in our quest to make you a core developer. So leave that for later and go to Piglet.
Yeah, if we may, 15 minutes. I don't know if that's enough or not.
I guess you don't need this diff, right?
Don't. I will figure it out. Okay. We're using the same platform, so I'm quite interested, like, whether the thing worked for you or not.
So, Roboprojekt. Course end. And I need to pull from.
Okay. Pull from. I don't know if you use the. GH. There's the.
I have it installed, but I haven't learned it. Carnot 48. Okay, Piglet 2x, Python 3.8, and I run Python server.py.
Yes. Server and Python client, whichever client.
Client.
Interface doesn't matter. All right.
Okay.
Can you use? Wait. Go back there, if you may, for a moment. Can you use your mouse or the keyboard keystroke? No, you can't.
No, I can't.
That's the case in my case. And client receiver.
Wait, I do welcome board and click Blender, and that works.
That works. Does anything else work? It doesn't.
Wait, let's see. Let me run the server with 2 players and then run 2 welcome boards. Bishop and
somehow it lost the name in the process.
Blender.
Oh, the name happened now.
And now I can do that. Somehow.
Something happened, but not much.
I guess I also need a receiver.
Receiver will be a board.
The receiver is the board, right?
Yes. interface is just directly the client. Yeah, and this is the thing that happens to me too.
Whoa. That sucks.
Sometimes when I close it, the board actually gets drawn in the last like millisecond.
Huh. Okay, let's close all of these down.
But there's definitely an issue with drawing and refreshing and reacting. I was checking that on the handlers on click and on keystroke, that it's received by the program, but it's not really connected to the drawn interface.
Huh. Okay, so it looks like it's stuck. Interesting. Let's try with a virtual environment. Still nothing.
What?
Ah.
You saw that? There was this.
Huh. So something is missing. Is the piglet too new?
2113. Maybe getting it down to 200 would.
No, still not good enough. And piglet one, of course, doesn't work at all. So it looks like it's stuck somehow.
I was thinking that maybe the connection between the async.io event loop and Piglet 2
Yeah, that was
is somehow not configured. As you can see here, like the parts, like the name of the second robot got drawn only after some time. It looks like it doesn't refresh itself.
right. Huh. Interesting. So let's look at the welcome board maybe. How is this done? So we schedule an async.io tick for every 30th of a second. So that's a util network. Does it tick?
It does.
It does tick. Okay. What else is there? Ensure future welcome board process message. Right, so this is the main loop of our program, and then we do piglet app run. Huh. That's weird.
There was a message. There were messages.
We're getting a message. We're getting ticks. We're getting ticks, so let me remove that print. And do we have this draw? Looks like it's getting drawn. All the time, but it doesn't really reach the window. So it uses draw board from welcome board front end. It uses this GL config.
Yeah, that's the new thing.
That's
I
the
think
new
that
thing. What if I remove that? Not allowed in the current state. Oh, that's the GL push matrix. Why do we use GL push matrix? Oh, there's a zoom. Ah. So remove the zoom.
okay.
And it starts working. It starts working with the mapping for the mouses. Bad because we're not zooming. Okay, so the problem is with zooming. Okay, so some theory. Why is this happening in the first place? So what do you know about OpenGL?
Not much. It's a library, system library coming for graphics library. It's multiple versions. I have 4.6 on my machine.
4.6. Wow. Right, so it's basically API for your graphics card, and it's a very old API for graphics cards that had the so-called fixed pipeline, which means that you drew 3D triangles on the screen, and it did the lightning and the shading and everything using a bunch of values that you send to the card. Nowadays, graphics cards don't work like that. Nowadays, you send a program in a special language, like a special bytecode to them, and all of the like zooming and shading and everything that they do is basically configurable using these programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by default in OpenGL, you still have this fixed pipeline is basically implemented on top of this better core, but on mobile phones and stuff like that, you don't have this backwards compatibility stuff, right? That's this forward compatible false, which means we're using some of the outdated stuff that's only available on desktops.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine for us, but they'd really like us to get rid of that. And the problem we're having trouble with is the zoom. This uses GL compat, and it pushes the matrix, the view matrix, the thing that transforms the triangles you draw onto the screen. Then it does a scale on the matrix. Then you draw and then you pop. So this thing is no longer available because there's no the matrix. If you want to change how the triangles are drawn, you need to put that in the so-called shader, the bytecode you put in the card. So let's see where we use GL compat. It's only used for zoom. So I think what we need to do is find a better way for zooming. And I'm not sure if the new Piglet has some way to do that. Welcome to the website. Okay. Do you have documentation? There. Model matrix. Migrating from Piglet 2.0. How do you zoom? The shader program. Window.projection. OpenGL window projection matrix. This matrix is used to transform vertices when using any of the built-in drawable classes. Alright, so as I suspected, this moved to Piglet. So Piglet now keeps this projection matrix as an attribute on the window, and the shader that Piglet uses by default, presumably, uses the projection matrix, so this gets sent to the graphics card on every frame. So probably need to instead of using this GL compat stuff, we'll need to say window.projection equals mat4, Piglet mat4, and from scale. And can we just give it the zoom? No, we need to give it a 3-element vector. Whoops, still bad window. We need to give it a 3-element vector, which hopefully, so vec3 x, y, and we don't use z, right? That's not fun. Maybe the matrix is the other way around. No. Get rid of this. Okay, so by default it uses an orthographic matrix, so we need to get the initial matrix and multiply that. Oh, but there is also a view matrix, which by default is identity. Let's see. Instead of the projection, we use the view matrix, and let's see. Okay. What went wrong here? Oh, I don't want the config here.
Oh, that looks...
This is still not working. And that's still not working because this glconfig thing is everywhere. So we need to get rid of the glconfig and all the front ends they're called, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Receiver. It's also the front end.
Huh.
It works. So the legacy stuff doesn't work for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, Piglet wanted us to move from the legacy stuff anyway, so if we ever want to run the game, that's probably the way to go.
Okay, so set window.view. Do you want the diff? Without this print. And do you want to work on this further?
Yeah, I'd like to get it done. To have this project moved to work with newer piglets and newer Pythons, so that people can just create virtual
Sounds
and
great.
it. So
you can also simplify stuff. Like this should not be in a project git ignore.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of changes mixed together, like, but most of it, like, it makes sense.
Yep.
The new async IO features I saw, like, oh, okay, capital case. I was surprised by this shadow window setting, but apparently it's a thing. Like I
So
found it.
so the problem there is when you use Piglet normally, you don't need to you don't need to use this glconfig.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this glconfig is somehow global. So there's some initialization that happens when you create a sprite object, and you cannot then override that initialization
Mm-hmm.
using this glconfig. So now that we've removed the glconfig, it might make sense to revert all of these changes again.
Mm-hmm. I'll take a look at it.
Okay. Thank you. Have fun.
Yeah, thanks. I've got to go. So thank you for
You too.
today.
Thank you.
See you
See
next